For this project, the parents of a child that is autistic agreed to sit down with us and discuss their son's condition. We'd like to thank them for this opportunity at taking a closer look at this disorder. The child's name is Braden, and he is 9 years old. Braden has classic autism, and he is in 4th grade.
It's time for the interview.
What do you think about celebrity authors who write non-research-based cures like Jenny McCarthy?
Note: Jenny McCarthy, an ex-Playboy centerfold, has written a number of books about autism and believes an intense combination of behavioral therapy, diet, and supplements became the key to saving her son Evan from autism.
Let's face it, if something like the gluten-free thing or whatever she did or anything else really worked that well, everybody would know about it real fast and everybody would be doing it.
If it was that miraculous.
Yeah, it's just
would
like
be working that well for so many
I look
people.
at these things like fad diet the same way I look at fad diets and everything else. Just a lot of times it's a gimmick. It's generating false hope and people's wishful thinking. It's preying off their hope.
What is Braden's diagnosis? What specific type of autism does he have?
How and when was Braden diagnosed?
He has classic autism. He was just over 2 years old, about 2 years, 2 months. We had taken him to Children's Hospital in San Diego. They have an autism intervention center. And they had a whole developmental evaluation, several questionnaires. I mean, it's like, and they did their assessment of him by, trying to get him to complete certain tasks and things like that. I guess the criteria is that if they have 3 or 4 of the characteristics that they're looking for out of, like 6 different characteristics, then they're considered with autism. So the psychologist at Children's did, find that he had at least 3, so diagnosed him with autism. Actually, I take that back. When he was 2, she did not actually give him the autism diagnosis. She gave him the PDD-NOS, which is pervasive developmental disorder, not otherwise specified. Because at the time, she said that before the age of 3, they don't like to give the autism diagnosis. There's certain things that at such a young age they probably wouldn't show.
What medicines benefit Braden? How long did it take to find the correct dosage?
We had a lot of trial and error, and then finally, for the last year and a half, we've had a pretty good cocktail. In the morning, he takes a medication called Metadate CD, which is actually an extended release Ritalin. In the evening, he takes trazodone, which is it's considered in the class of antidepressant, but it's more prescribed for sedating, calming.
What life situation or goals do you have for Braden? What do you see in his future?
I think we pretty much both figure that he'll always be with us. So
I still have hope that he'll talk someday. My biggest fear is that he could be somehow mistreated someday or whatever and not be able to defend himself or stick up for himself. I know he's capable a lot more than he's willing to do. I think a lot of autistic kids, it's a lack of a willingness to cooperate more so than it is in learning impairment, although there obviously is to some degree.
What did you think or know about autism before Braden's diagnosis?
Before we first found out, I mean, there was like we were both like, I think I've heard that word. I don't know what it means. She kept trying to tell me that she thought he had it, and I was in denial, and I got all angry and upset and said, no, he doesn't.
And it was hard because he was our first, so you don't know really what to expect. Like, you don't know what's normal and what's not to a certain degree. And, you know, depending on what doctors you talk to, you know.
What accommodations have you and your family made for Braden in your lives and household?
Basically, we moved. We
Yeah.
uprooted and moved at a financial loss, and reevaluated our whole lifestyle or where we were going to live. Specifically, bought this house so we could get into this district.
Most recently, I mean, we've had to put wood up on our fence because he climbs up and over and out of the yard.
Reverse the locks on all the doors.
Yeah.
Double key everything.
Yeah, so he can't
So,
escape.
yeah.
We have no glass or no sharp objects.
Yeah, we don't use regular dishes or
Nothing
glasses.
around. It's all plastic
that's
or
true.
paper. And
Is there anything you think people should know about autism and being around kids with autism?
I think that what people need to realize is, you know, people always have this stereotype of somebody with a disability looking like they have a disability, you know, and it being readily obvious. And I think that that's why in society there seems, at least to me, that there's less tolerance for like a kid like Braden.
people think that we're just
Yeah.
lousy parents and we don't
Yeah,
discipline
like we're
him.
not disciplining him, or
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
because by the looks of him, he's an able-bodied, you know, cute little boy that doesn't
Yeah.
look like he has any kind of a disability in any way. None of his features.
Yeah, it's not
look like
visually
he has-
obvious.
Yeah,
No.
so
It's
I
so-
would say just don't be so quick to judge. I was in Staples one day buying a couple of things that he needed for work. It beeped and it said, you know, please sign. And I said something like, well, I am signing.
Yeah.
And the girl, just a young girl, was the cashier. And she said, oh, yeah, sometimes that thing's retarded. And I just stopped and I looked at her and I said, you know, I wouldn't use that term so loosely if I were you, because you never know. I said, I have a son who has special needs. No, that you shouldn't just throw terms like that around,
Yeah.
because you just don't know what people's circumstances are.
It's a horrible expression
Yeah.
for people to use.
Yeah.
I mean, the biggest thing is we just worry about his future, his welfare.